The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all. Welcome to this edition of the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. And we're coming to you around the world tonight on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, and on Channel 54 on Simul TV, which is the X-Zone Broadcast Network. If you'd like to find out more about how you can watch Simul TV and tune in to the X-Zone TV channel that goes 7/24/365, just visit their website at www.simultv.com. X-Zone Nation, our first guest tonight is Dr. Richard Allen Miller. We're going to be talking to Dr. Miller about everything from, I've got some notes here, Groom Lake, volcanoes, the SRI, SEAL Team 3, and much more. So joining me now is our good friend, Dr. Richard Miller. And Rick, welcome back to the X-Zone. Great having you with us, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I wasn't sure I was going to even be able to get in here.
Why?
We're on yellow alert right now, and I haven't had like 3 days of sleep.
My gosh.
If that volcano, it'll be early. There's a volcano off of Crescent City out in the Pacific Ocean. And when that goes, it's going to shift the plate by 5 degrees. And everything on the West Coast is gone. I have no idea what's going to happen in Florida, but you can guess.
Is that volcano part of what they call the Ring of Fire?
No, the Ring of Fire is different. This is an epoch level event, not historically. I mean, we're, Pendashad's changed, and now we've got a different thing going on because it's like a petri dish. It cleans the slate of certain kinds of things. I've been to Mars. I created, in 1983, I did what's called the Mars Project, using a special part of the brain in the Wernicke's area, creating my own wormhole. Different than astral projection, different than remote viewing, which are different, and different than Shabbat, which is the sound current. We hear it in the right ear. You go back home for a minute. Such con. This is a whole new thing, and it has to do with neurotransmitters being released in the brain, and that's electromagic. Part of the Diamond Body series, the new stuff I'm writing on the old work I did when I left the military. Started in 74, ended up in 83, and then I went into agriculture and became a hermit. And I done enough of you guys, and now I want to live off the grid. And what happened is I learned how to survive in the woods, eating, never mind, eating caterpillars, because what is that? Caterpillar or worm, because it eats a fly, it eats my meat. You learn how to survive.
Richard, what I'd like you to do is let our listeners know who you are, your biography, because many listeners around the world are seeing you and hearing you for the very first time. So tell them who Dr. Richard Allen Miller is.
Quick, I'm a physicist. I've got 2 doctorates in physics. I have a doctorate, Harvard Medical, in anesthesiology. My tenure at the UW, however, is in physics, because I did the first aortic catheter. There's a crystals and soldered them on, stuck them in dogs. My 4th one is under Jungian psychotherapy with James Hillman and Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. I'm educated. No, I don't know. I even actually studied with Gershom Scholem for 6 years on Hermetic Kabbalism. He required me to learn Greek and Old Hebrew. And then that led me to teach at Harvard for 11 years, 15 courses, 8 weeks each. It's graduate level. metaphysics. They're on my website as audiobooks. Let me tell you, my latest book is The Non-Local Mind in a Holographic Universe. How to Change the Movie. The last, go ahead.
You've done so much. I've read your bio. I know you. The number of articles that you've written. Where do you find the time, Richard? Plus you're still working. You're still working.
Time is the duration of consciousness, and I've got a TARDIS. Just kidding. Get out of jail card. Actually, consciousness right now is not real. It's a dream state, and there are dream states that have more content to reality, like lucid dreaming than consciousness. And my first field equations, this is the early part, not later when I start to really understand what's going on. You're basically talking to yourself, only I made a different choice on my breakfast cereal this morning. Oh. Yeah, medic, code blue. Because, well, listen, man, we don't know. And I would have said word, oh, yeah. I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't believed it. Now, here's one for you.
Okay.
The Earth round or flat? Easy. Shortest distance between 2 points. Straight line, and it's round. But space is curved. I can prove it's flat from the country. And here's the kicker, which made us God's favorite choice. If I look at it this way, I have these limited doors to go to. If I look at it that way, I have more doors to go through. Or if I use my mind as a tool, I can do anything I want. I have all the doors. And that's called the mind's eye, or imagination's reality. And when you can see it in your mind's eye, that's what makes it real. Not my physics, certainly not my medicine, with glaucoma in the middle. Can't get there from here. But wakey, because my single tour at Bloom Lake, a crow asked for me. I didn't even know I was known. They put me down at level 8. I had 1 hour. All of this big table, top secret. I just started grabbing. Something just came and sank and saved. I hate Microsoft. They are culprits. When the 7 worked, off the 7 worked. Why do they do 8.1? Now, we got to upgrade and now it doesn't work. Nice going, guys. I use Linux now, and that's still a mess. But I can tell you that physics and religion, the two brains, is that's chapter 7. It's called Time Travel and the True Nature of Cavitation. Cavitation is a Roger Penrose thing at Princeton I studied with, where a drop of water hits a pool of water and a bunch of things happen. Our rings go out.
Yeah.
Down into the water, poop, it comes back up, except now it isn't a drop of water. It's a bubble with the air that trapped inside going into the outer. And Jerry Volek, structured water. I studied with Jerry. I worked in anesthesiology at the UW doing paranormal studies after I had gotten my doctorate in medicine under Ray Fink. And he was research under, and we were, Delgado is in the lab next to me. He's doing chip implants and rhesus monkeys. Yeah. And Dr. Moore was doing ketamine, telepathy, and BZ studies. BZ, yes. Imagine what I was doing. And the cool part was I was good enough that I never did anything I didn't believe in. That's that. CIA, oh man, they try to leverage you like L. Ron Hubbard, get something on you and then force you to do something. Cat's eye.
What would the CIA have to do with Ron L. Hubbard?
Yeah, that's a good one. Robert Anton Wilson and and people leaving out of buildings 10 years after the studies at Harvard, 10 years later.
Wow.
Yeah, welcome to the CIA, the outer part of the inner. And they're creepy. My ex-wife, she's dead now, was CIA counterintelligence, lying by omission. And I was Navy intel. We made quite a couple.
I guess.
I basically refused to shoot Americans when I was training my SEAL Team 3 in Cambodia. And they got pissed off at me. Well, yeah, my team can practice. You can have anything you want. I'm not going to shoot America. I'm a scientist. And they got pissed off and forced me to go into Richard Nixon's office once a week.
Wow.
That's a long time ago in a faraway universe. And let me tell you, people that seek that level of awareness, power, that's Castaneda. You know, first is, fear. Fear is the first enemy. The second is you get some personal power and you're no longer afraid. It takes over. It's a second enemy. And that's all these leaders. Aliens, of course, are playing puppets. Howdy doody. Hey, kids, what time is it?
That's howdy doody time. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I have been there, done that, and now, get me out of here, please. I feel like I'm David Copperfield with an empty bowl. What just happened? What happened? What happened? Wow. What happened? Am I on?
Yes, you're here.
Okay, well, the screen's all changed.
Okay, no, you're here, Rich.
I held like an empty bowl, and I'm saying to the Lord, by the way, there's a hierarchy of lords because Keter is Yahweh probably, and then there's the veils of Isis.
All right, Rick, we have to take a break. Please stand by. Thanks very much for joining us. And Exo Nation, if you'd like to find out more about my guest this hour, Richard Allen Miller is .com is his website. That's Richard Allen with one L, Miller.com.
ALAN.
Right, ALAN. So Richard ALAN Miller and I will be back on the other side of the short break. Whatever you do, don't go away. It's going to be an interesting hour. And welcome back, everyone. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our special guest. His website is richardallenmiller.com. Richard, the yellow alert that you're talking about in the volcano.
Yeah, how do I get you back? I don't know where you are here. I'm going to close this window. If I get lost, I'm sorry. I'll try to come back. I'm being hacked as we speak. Something does not and has not wanted me to do anything since I got sick with COVID back in October.
Oh, gosh.
I got sick and nearly died twice. I won't get the jab, but I got the pneumonia and it scarred my lungs. And then somebody made me have to move before December from a 4-bedroom home, privacy up on a mountain somewhere, down to Motorcycle Central. Bikers all around me and creepy. I don't know where you are.
Can you hear me, Richard?
Yeah, I hear you fine. I just don't see you, and I like visuals. Your music. What happens? Microsoft came in trying to get me with Skype.
Yeah.
How's that work? I didn't do that. No. Okay, there it is. Where are you? Oh, wait a minute. There's one down here. What is that? What is I need one new notification? No, see, they have taken over my computer, so I can't see you. I see you. That's from Pandora. I love music. I did 20 years at the Brick as a volunteer. It's the nicest gift I ever gave myself because I don't hear music. I see it. Basically, I have a eidetic memory. I'm basically a 4-year-old that never became 7. Now I'm a grumpy old man. How did Monty Python put it? Come back, I can still bite. I won't go to dentistry. It's broken, like medicine, and everything's broken. Well, I look like something out of Mad Magazine. It's wrong, and it's so wrong that I'd have to draw on somewhere. I just won't participate. I don't care what people think, what they think. I mean, he looks like a stupid. Yeah, well, I was one of the 10 Harvard chose in 1964. I was young at Washington State University at Pullman, and they gave me LSD to see what would happen because I was very bright. And I remember I was up at Deception Pass, Hurricane Ridge, looking down 2,000 feet. Water was boiling back colors. Larry leaned over and he said, "Wouldn't it be neat to jump?" That's when that moment changed me from being astrophysics to solid state physics. Inner worlds are way more vast than external. And when I say that, where do you discover where the multiverse is going to take us? Trust me when I tell you that, man. These are about light years. It's creepy. There's more going on here. And actually, I try to put it in perspective. How many ants are on your property? Who's terraforming it more? There are 4 cetacean that have higher technologies than man does right now. And there are life forms intercropping with humans. I did those studies. Pierce Brosnan did a movie called Nomads. Boom. And then there was another one similar where there's a transfer of information. Grandfather Joseph died at the crossroads. Jim Morrison was 10 years old. That's one of the studies I did because Jim Morrison didn't die. He was smuggled out of France by the Swedish Secret Service, and I physically went to visit with him. When these entities pass on their information, they're like writers. They're not you, but they don't control you. You have your own life and the memory of this million years. And that's another life form. There's a bunch of them. I met a shapeshifter. One of the studies I did was trying to figure out what the organ vortex was. I had a PBY with an interferometer bending light at 18,000 feet. What does that? Mini black hole. I'm guessing the Earth's going to be consuming itself into it. And I earlier started to say something and I didn't finish it. There are Firefoxes up, but I don't say anything. Now, how come Firefox came in, but you're not there? I'm hacked, and it's happening, and it's because they're keeping me on a short leash.
Who are they, Richard? Who are they?
Say again?
Who are they? You said they are
I don't know. I knew. I've called friends at the Pentagon. All of us, I have a lot of friends. I have even biker friends. I can kind of nickel bag and they'll sit in front of your house and look greasy, threatening you. I won't touch you, but they'll sit there, burping and leaving litter and looking at you. And I just did that for a nickel bag. Well, I've got friends. It's just, I don't do things I don't. If I don't know, I'm not going to do it. I don't know. Amazon is publishing all my titles without permission. There's a mass market edition. These 20 people are selling my book before me, and I own it. How does that work?
I don't know, my friend, but it's wrong.
Yeah. And the European copyrights are quite different in North America. They couldn't get away with that nonsense. What I need is performance centers in different countries because shipping from the U.S., I just shipped something to the Netherlands, 8 books, $51.
Wow.
8 books, yeah. 8 books here to the Netherlands. Try doing it to England. 97. It's awful. And if you print in that country, it's regular first class and it's inexpensive. Canada, for example, I need a performance center up there, and then we just roll them out. I did at one time with my agriculture with Conrad Richter up north of you in Goodwood, but it's awful. And so what I'm doing is I've got 40 new manuscripts. The recent one I'm doing on magic, where I'm going to make it a proper field of study in physics, is titled Magical and Ritual Use of Metaphor, Archetypal Gods in Daily Living. I'm going to suggest there are 22 stories in the big city. And each one has an end. You're either possessed, which means you have one storyboard, or you're complex. Can't get away with it. And in which case, you've got more than one storyboard. Each one has an ending. If you don't like the ending, that's what pathworking is about.
Richard, let me ask you, what was the most memorable part of your vast career? The part of the career and the life of Richard Allen Miller that Richard Allen Miller looks at and says, that was my proudest moment.
Yeah. Which incarnation? As an agriculture physicist?
Let's go with the physicist first.
Okay, Andrei Puharich was really cool, and so was what is that guy that worked under him? But the best physicist I ever met that I thought was equal to me, I haven't met very many. So I did Albert Gorky, I did Charlie Muses, Edward Everett Horton, Roger Penrose. The list goes on and on, because they wanted me to be special. And how do they do it in Saturday night? Isn't that special? If I get to go to Stockholm, that is my bucket list. And Jon Stewart has a TV show, and he heard of my bucket list. He's going to have me on TV. I love humor. That's the only way. It isn't about Black Lives Mattering. What matters is black humor. Just kidding. This isn't real. And it's probably not even orchestrated by humans. They're just along for the ride. Because how did Gecko put it? Greed is good. You know what the third enemy was after power? It's called clarity. We started seeing things more clearly. And that was a limitation. And of course, I'm experiencing the fourth enemy right now, old age. Too old to do anything about it. Well, I mean, that's what it's about. Even Alexander is a personal friend of mine. I spent a couple of weeks in the jungles with him and his wife. Down in Poco, and what is that? Proof of Heaven. Some of the others. I can tell you, I've been there and come back myself, and I have a better angle on it. Doesn't mean I'm right, because it doesn't work like that. Imagining the power tools for the 21st century were the 8 protocols I used to train Navy SEALs, like Tai Chi. I taught them breath control to take their martial art to a paranormal level. You could, forget everything. There it is, Star Wars. And Master waves his hand and go home and rethink your life. I can tell you that humor is the only thing that's kept me from getting bitter. I have seen things. I have rocked things. I was Green Egg, writing for Green Egg and Church of All Worlds back in 1970. One of my best friends in 1972 was #1 Brazilian hit team, and then later became head of the Brazilian Secret Service. And I think he's going to die shortly. He's my friend because I moved him from Macumba, which is a form of Buddha, a dance, Obi, to OTO, magic. And it opened doors for him, for personal awareness, because magic is, there's several kinds of magic. There's laser man, where there's sleight of hand, then sleight of mind, where you use your mind as a tool to go somewhere. And that's when I was going to finish that story, David Copperfield,
right,
saying to the Lord, I want something more than the physical plane, please. It's not real. There's more going on here. And I'd like to know that, to leave footprints with grandchildren, because you and I aren't going to be able to save this world. But they might. GMO doesn't have an immune system. I mean, I remember when Mom sent me to school to get sick. What are they doing now? I have no idea, but it's creepy. Human children had to wear masks. They didn't get their immune system developed. That's that. Whether it's spike protein has got some interesting properties with blood types. That's interesting. And that's another chapter in my non-local mind where it's synchronicity, where nothing happens by chance. You gotta realize we're in a matrix, man. We're sitting here being fed Netflix, and it's horror stories.
Yeah, you were saying that we're in a matrix, and you used the Howdy Doody before. Howdy Doody was a puppet. Somebody was pulling his strings in order to make him work.
No, and Clarabelle.
Yeah, Clarabelle the cow. Yeah.
Yeah. That old good for you.
So
first came on a little green and white screens, radar screens before they had big ones. And now, oh man, technologies and after 12. But realize this: orca has a cerebral cortex that's twice the size of man, and that mammal is firing 60% of it at any given moment, where you and I are only lucky to get 10%. And that mammal has access to 9/10 of the biosphere. We have only access to 1/10. Who's superior?
Richard, you and I have to take our break. Please stand by, my friend. And Richard, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Always a great pleasure talking to you. Don't go away. We'll be back on the other side of this break. And if you'd like more information about our very special guest this hour, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, visit his website, richardallenmiller.com. And Allen is spelled with one L. We'll both be back on the other side of this short break. Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is my very special guest. And Richard, before we went on air, you and I were talking about alien abductions.
Yeah, alien abductions has been happening for a long time. And John Mack started, I was his teacher. He took, I think it was in 92, he took Metaphysics 3 and then started alien abduction studies at Harvard. And I was teaching there, graduate level, 1990. And I told him that if he was going to do alien abduction studies, what he could do, his catch was to help the trauma isn't going to prove the existence of God. It doesn't work like that. He got it. And I hung out down in Homestead for quite a while, working with him on the Bramwells, because I was hanging out further down in Key Largo working with dolphin. And there's your close encounter. Dolphin are lower on the food chain, and yet I've seen orca chase dolphin. And dolphin, pilot whale, manatee, all four cetacean have bigger brain cases than man. Elephants are smaller, like a dog. I saw an elephant paint itself in Indonesia. Its trunk is painting itself at self-realization, and it showed more awareness of how others see you than I do. And dogs are another one. How did Jack Nicholson put it? Why does my dog love you more than me? I feed it bacon. Enteric nervous system, ESP. I sit down here as a gut is it's like a hierarchy, like the DNA, resonant cavity oscillator, and the brain, neurotransmitters. It's another touch. Dialogues with subtle bodies outside of the physical. When you're in an altered state, you are a different you in the multiverse, and the laws of physics change. I watched a woman once rip a cargo off. Ripped it off to save her daughter in a flaming automobile. Now that's impossible because there's no way adrenaline making the bone and muscle in her body stronger than steel. She should do that. Ding. That's the problem. We've got inconsistencies with our laws of physics, and that's why they keep changing. And newsflash, we're not getting closer to the truth. It doesn't work like that. That means there is never going to be a theory of anything. And that's me saying it.
Well, but why are the laws of physics changing? I thought that they were in place and they were hard. E equals MC squared,
Well, okay. Quantum mechanics took analog systems and digitized them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what quantum mechanics did. And that's where the uncertainty principle came in. The more you know about one thing, the less you know about something else. So I came up with a holographic universe. Oh, new and improved. Yeah, right. That's going to work with fractals in the way. Information, not space-time. Information folds down into or out of itself. Okay, but guess what? Mandelbrot, Julia, May generators, it's contest. So, whereas multiverse is everywhere, every night right now. But it probably is going to have a limitation on something I can't even comprehend that your great-grandchild is going to probably conceive of that saves Earth. Because consciousness, where you hang out physics and religion, it's not real. It's not real.
So what is real, Richard?
I have no idea.
Wow.
I'm not sure real is a real concept.
So this is just in your opinion, and I value your opinion.
That's all it is. However, I've got a track record.
Yes, you do. And what I was going to say, Richard, was like this world that we think is real. Are we just living in a holographic
matrix?
Existence?
Well, that's one way of looking at it, and then it gets weirder, where you got a whole bunch of matrix where they clone your body off because they need more Dyson spheres. Gold. Just kidding, metaphor. I know I don't know. I know I probably will never know. So what I'm going to do is get along, get through this process without damaging myself or other people too much. I'm a moral man.
Yes, you are.
Every man knows not to cheat on his wife. Moral man. When I wrote early X-Files for Fox, I did them. Worked under a smoking man, Dr. Carl Sliker. That's really weird. I can tell you, they wanted me to move to Hollywood, but I'd already done a tour with swingers. And I didn't want to go there. So I refused. They brought Carter in and then used me on set up in D.C. Tell him how a forensic would look like, something like that. In 1983, after I went to Mars, I literally went to Mars. You can Google it up. It's the Mars Project, Wernicke's area of the brain. Wernicke. And it's in the back part. And now I just connected a dot on my brain driver stick. So Robert Monroe, frequency following function, where you can fix certain forms of dementia using that. It's possible. And my doctor says I'm going to live to 120. I'm in better health today than I was 40 years ago when he first got me. He was a Seventh-day Adventist. I chose him. He swung the scripts. He couldn't wait to put me on a med. Oh, your heart rate's 151 over. I'm going to have to put you on meds. I said, I'm not going to take meds. Oh, I might have to fire you. I then looked at him and I said, cuff me. I brought it down to 128. Dang! So, medicine is oriented, even with Seventh-day Adventists, for money. And dentistry. I like to walk in the woods and talk to the little folks. That's the first parapsychology paper out. Secret Commonwealth of Elf, Fawn, and Fairy, right? 1897, with England. I already talked about other entities in the woods. Are they real? Good luck with that one. I know you got Findhorn. Ontario. I've been to your part of the provinces, and your force is special down there on the Great Lakes. And I've seen things that I don't understand. A grizzly bear is one of them is different than a bear. But, there's something else going on here. And why is it that every time we get something like spaceflight, Vermont, whatever, all of a sudden we're back to zero again. We're doing it. Cleopatra went down the Colorado River looking for copper.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And I figured out they did BBC on me. They wanted to know in 1810, I think it was 1810, this anthropologist discovered giant skull, nothing, in Pennsylvania. And that big skull went to the Warburg. Not Warburg, what is it? The one up in New York. It's anyway, big museum, Smithsonian. And that skull doesn't exist now. Why? What happened? BBC wanted it. I said, well, the Baptist minister lost his flock to Mormonism. Joseph followed him for years, and his two sons were running Smithsonian at the time. They probably dumped it in the Indian East Atlantic, trying to vet the flood to get his flock back. Now I don't know. That seemed like pretty straightforward Dutch. But people don't look at things that way, and who knows what's really going on. I know that when I did my interview with Krill, this is very important, probably the most important thing I'm going to say tonight. When I did my interview with Krill, I remember feeling at peace. I had no fear, and it was feminine. And I had no idea what she wanted to meet me. I chose Paranormal, and at that time, Paranormal was pretty important. Secret Life of Plants, that Korean photography, whatever. And Aura. By the way, my paper, Korean photography studies, led to my professor doing the first MRI. And Korean photography in itself is both BS. It's secondary emission of electrons. That's the reason I was there in New York to do that, was to meet Edward Mitchell. So I was at Mission Control in 1971 to do the ESP studies, and then use those protocols to select SEAL Team 1.
Rick, we've got to take our final break. Please stand by, my friend. And next donation, if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, visit his website, richardallenmiller.com, and that is Allen spelt with one L. And we'll both be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. And welcome back. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is our special guest this hour. First of all, Rick, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure talking to you. When you take a look at the world through your eyes, knowing what you know, having the expertise that you have, you're a doctor, you're an astrophysicist, you're a scientist, you've got so many hats that you wear. Where do you see, what can we do to make it better in this matrix of ours?
Better for whom?
Better for the common person.
Leave orbit. That's what I was going to tell you. When I came out of that meeting, they filmed it for 20 minutes. There was no talking. We just looked at each other. She talked to me. And afterwards, I had no memory. 50 years.
Wow.
And just recently, when I say recently, last year, when the non-local mind came out, some of the doors started open. And I'm starting to remember things. One, the way an alien talked, this one, is with emotions. Not what we call emotions, something I've never experienced. It's 20 minutes of that kind of communication is a lifetime of words. I do Old Hebrew and Greek. I mean, I've done 40 languages. I memory. I can tell you, no memory. Okay. Second, one of the doors that opens was that if you choose an artifact of your choice to remember Earth by, you will not be recycled. You get to choose a star of your choice to evolve. That's a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
That's a door that just opened. What does that mean? Needle feather, clamshell, picking off hair. I don't know. I don't have that part. Alpha Centauri. Humans are everywhere. So I know something else is going on. I think they made us too good. And I think Nibiru is our future coming to meet our present. And I remember when I was at JPL, I remember that one physicist said, but the IR signature's wrong. And I said, yeah, maybe it's got a Dyson stir. It's gold. Just like in the Bible. Everything's in metaphor.
Richard, what are your final words that you'd like to share with the X Zone Nation tonight?
Try not to make the same mistake twice. Yeah, I mean, marrying the same kind of woman. Yeah. Well, that's just one idea. But there's lots of them like that. And each try your glass is half full, not half empty. And I remember when I came out of Buddhist missionary schools, I went into third grade. I was a Shaolin, learned how to fight on the streets at 4 years old because I was Caucasian. Mom worked in the China theater, and Dad put me in. Well, no, shit, I was Caucasian. And I couldn't tell you. I know I don't know. And when I went to Seattle, Dad immediately stuck me in Chinatown to study under John Leong. And had Bruce Lee, Skip Ellsworth, Fred Williams, Black Panther from Tacoma. If I could stay away from him, I could wear him down. I was world champion in double sword. I also learned how to play chess in the streets in the Philippines. And I've never been in a fight outside of a ring. I learned discipline. I have had to put a couple people down in a bar or something so that nobody got hurt, including me, because no matter how good you are, you always get hurt. I remember when I was boxing in Peking. Dukes was 4 weights above me. He was the best kickboxer. I don't think there's anybody like him. I remember there were only 6 of us that won our matches. Why? When I went in the ring, while I was getting in the ring, I just took out the referee. That allowed me to win my match. China. Excuse me. China. Oh, man. I can tell you that Trump's probably going to go to jail. Biden is a criminal, just like the Clintons. He's going to give ports in California to China in 2 years.
Really?
Watch and see. Canada,
Richard, the time has come, my friend, when you and I must say so long for now. But I want to thank you for all you've done, Richard. You're a great guy. I've got a lot of respect for you, and take care of yourself, my friend.
I'll be there waiting for you on Alpha Centauri.
You got it, buddy. Take care of yourself. Good night, Richard.
Good night, sir.
Bye-bye now. Exonation, that was Dr. Richard Miller. Let me see. He's got a PhD in physics. He's got a PhD in medicine. And he also has a PhD in imaginal psychology, level GS-18 with the Navy intelligence. He's semi-retired. He's got more credentials than you can find in a can of Campbell's alphabet soup. I'm just going to leave it at that, Exonation. It was great having him with us. I'll be back on the other side at the top of the hour as we're going to be talking about getting your life in order, being happy with what you have. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.